I'll now ask if there are any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Okay, seeing none. We do have one presentation tonight, which is regarding Project Assist Credit from the Ontario Fire Marshal's Public Fire Safety Council and Enbridge Gas Distribution. So I will look to Chief Flag to, I guess, call everybody up for the presentation.
I guess you guys can come and join me at the microphone here and say your few words that you need to say.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. My name is Sarah Gill. I'm here today in Wainfleet to, with the fire department, make this special announcement. This year, Enbridge is donating $5,000 towards Project Assist. Today, Wainfleet is one of 15 fire departments in Ontario that will receive these funds to use towards the purchase of resources to supplement firefighting training within the community. At Enbridge, safety is a top priority. We have a long and proud tradition of supporting the communities we serve, and we hope these funds will be put to good use.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor April Jeffs, councillors, Fire Chief Harry Flagg, members of the fire service, and friends. I am pleased to be here today on behalf of the Fire Marshal's Public Fire Safety Council with Enbridge Gas Distribution and the Wainfleet Fire and Emergency Service for Project Assist. Regular training is an important part of being prepared for any emergency situation, and Project Assist contributes to overall firefighter health and safety by improving access to training materials. Project Assist is now in its 5th year. Enbridge has contributed a total of $500,000 to this unique campaign, with 84 Ontario fire departments receiving funding to supplement firefighting training in their communities. The role of the Fire Marshal's Public Fire Safety Council is to develop partnerships between members of the fire safety community and the general public. Project Assist is a strong example of these partnerships at work. I'd like to thank Enbridge Gas Distribution for its long-term support and commitment to this important initiative. I would also like to congratulate Mayor April Jeffs, Fire Chief Harry Flagg, and the Wainfleet Fire and Emergency Services on being chosen to take part in this beneficial program. Thank you for inviting me here this evening and for demonstrating your commitment to making this province a safer place to live.
Your Worship, Council, invited guests, fire service members, certainly my privilege to be here again in Wainfleet. I'm Rick Finnemore, I'm the Fire Protection Advisor with the Office of the Fire Marshal and Emergency Management, and I'm here for moral support. I'm here with my fellow fire service representatives on behalf of the Fire Marshal of Ontario to lend support to this kind of community program. It's my understanding that our member from Enbridge and her family is actually moving to Wainfleet, which shows, to my mind, shows a great level of commitment on Enbridge's part to actually move into town. So I think you're doing fine that way. But as someone that's been to Wainfleet for many years now in support of the fire service, it's always a great pleasure to see when businesses will provide that level of support to your fire service members. I believe that your department is doing a great job. I've seen lots of planning over the years. I've seen many changes and improvements, and I'm sure that this commitment on the part of Enbridge will go towards continuing that level of improvement and taking a little bit of the financial burden off of the department, so in the community. So thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We certainly do appreciate it. We appreciate you being here tonight, everybody, from the Fire Council and from Enbridge. And it's I know I feel honored that you're here, and it's a real big deal. So thank you very much. JT, did you want a picture? You're okay. So we gotta let the media have a picture, and then. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. All right, so we will move on. We do have a public hearing tonight, or public information meeting, so I will start that off. So it's an application for rezoning file Z01-2016, 20470 Erie Pete Road, part of Lot 4, Concession 2, Lowland Farms Limited. The purpose of the meeting, held pursuant to Section 34 of the Planning Act, is to provide information respecting an application for rezoning submitted to the Township by Lowland Farms Limited to amend the zoning on a property on the west side of Erie Pete Road, north of Highway 3, and known municipally as 20470 Erie Pete Road. So now I will hand it over to the planner, Sarah.
The proposed amendment is needed to comply with township, regional, and provincial policy regarding the disposal of a surplus farm dwelling application, where the retained agricultural lands need to be rezoned for agricultural purposes only to prohibit the construction of a dwelling. This property was the subject of an application for consent to sever, file E09-16, which was granted by the Committee of Adjustment on July 20th, 2016. You'll note on the PowerPoint presentation above me, Part 2, being 22.9 hectares, is to be rezoned from A2 agricultural to agricultural A2 special zone for agricultural purposes only, and to recognize a reduced lot size of 22.9 hectares. The township has received several comments with regard to this file, being the Niagara Region Development Services Department. Again, they're requesting that this rezoning is part of the condition of the severance, and the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority had no objections to the file, and in fact they worked with the applicant to determine the boundary of the severed parcel. The Township Septic Inspection Department will also be addressing the existing septic system on the dwelling. I'll also note that as per Section 34, subsection 14 of the Planning Act, at a meeting under subsection 12, the council shall ensure that information is made available to the public regarding the power of the municipal board to dismiss an appeal under subsection 25 if an appellant has not provided to the council with oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions before a bylaw is passed under this section. So that just means that if you have not made any written comments or are here today to speak, your appeal may be dismissed if it goes to the Ontario Municipal Board.
Okay, so are there any questions from council members regarding this application? Okay, seeing none, are there any questions or comments from anybody in attendance tonight in the gallery? Going once, going twice. I'm looking to our faithful attendees. No? Okay, so I'll hand it back over to the planner.
So the Township Planning Department will prepare a report for the next council meeting, providing a detailed review of the application and recommendation to council respecting the rezoning of this property. At that meeting, council may approve the rezoning bylaw. Should council pass a bylaw, notice of that passage will be given to those individuals and agencies specified by Section 34 of the Planning Act and Ontario Regulation 199-96. That notice will include explanation of the appeal procedure to the Ontario Municipal Board.
So in closing, should any individual want to be informed of when the staff report will be presented to council or want to be ensured that notice of passage of the rezoning will be sent to them, they should inform the clerk in writing, which can be done following this meeting. So now we'll move into delegations. So tonight we have one delegation. We have Lynn Cunningham here from the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, otherwise familiarly known to everyone as MPAC. Regarding the delivery of the 2016 assessment update, and I think Lynn has stated that she might go over 10 minutes, and I think we're okay with that. So Lynn, whenever you are ready.
Good evening. Mayor, council, town staff, and gallery.
Lynn, sorry, do you want, if you just press the red button, I thought it was already on. No, that's my fault, I should have told you that.
As the mayor stated, my name is Lynn Cunningham, and I'm the account manager of municipal and stakeholder relations for MPAC for Niagara. I have with me tonight my regional manager, Nancy Huther, and Michael Moore, who is evaluation manager for this area as well, and I'm here to deliver the 2016 assessment update Property assessment and are a product of an integrated system involving the provincial government, including the Assessment Review Board, MPAC, the municipalities, and Ontario taxpayers. While each has a distinct role and interest in the assessment and taxation process, success of the system depends on all parties defining their responsibilities and working together effectively. The Ministries of Finance and Municipal Affairs and Housing are the ministries responsible for setting assessment and taxation legislation policies and determining the education tax rates. The province also operates an independent assessment appeal tribunal, the Assessment Review Board, or ARB. MPAC's responsible for determining the current value assessments for more than 5 million properties with an estimated total value of $2.3 trillion. Each year, municipalities are required to make a host of decisions that shape the local property tax regime by affecting how the property tax burden is distributed across the assessment base. With an increasingly complex assessment and taxation process, more municipalities are becoming involved in assessment matters that affect in an effort to effectively fulfill their taxation responsibilities. Every 4 years, MPAC updates property assessments to reflect a legislative valuation date. For this year's assessment update, the legislative valuation date is January 1st, 2016. Every property owner in Ontario will receive a property assessment notice showing an estimated value of their property as of January 1st, 2016. The new assessed values will be used by municipalities for property taxation over the next 4 years, 2017-2020. MPAC has been preparing for the 2016 assessment update since early in 2014, 2 years earlier than previous assessment updates. We have been working internally with our stakeholders to effect real change, and some of these changes include a staggered mailing of property assessment notices over a 21-week window beginning back in April, new advanced disclosure and consultation processes which achieve greater transparency and shared understanding of property assessments with taxpayers and municipalities. We redesigned the property assessment notice to include plain language and design principles. We have a new Municipal Connect application that provides municipalities with early access to the preliminary 2016 values. We've redesigned the About My Property application to provide taxpayers with easy access to market trends and detailed property information. And MPAC has completed a greater number of sales investigations and data quality checks than past assessment updates. Not only has MPAC completed more sales investigations and data quality checks in preparation for this year's assessment update than past reassessments, we've also visited or reviewed properties for the reasons on the slide. Across the province, we've reviewed and updated more than 2.8 million data elements, and in Wainfleet, we've updated 2,280. Why is this important? It's important because accurate data results in accurate current assessments. So one of our key initiatives is actively engaging municipalities and property owners in the 2016 advanced disclosure and consultation process. Disclosure is about transparency and shared understanding. It's our commitment to share information early, provide an opportunity for engagement ahead of the roll return. It's a no surprises approach. So early in 2015, we posted level 1 methodology guides on MPAC.ca for 11 special purpose business property types, such as food processing and auto assembly plants. Additional guides will be available this year for 22 additional business properties, such as retail properties, golf courses, and farms. Our level 2 market valuation reports explain how the valuation methodologies have been applied to a group of properties. The report provides relevant market data information about key components which were derived for a particular property type. And level 3 is actually property-specific valuation information. So this is detailed information at the property level, which will be available to owners and municipalities through About My Property. There are many benefits to advanced disclosure. Municipalities are encouraged to actively participate in advanced disclosure and consultation. The success of advanced disclosure is dependent on the feedback we receive from property owners and municipalities. And over the coming months, your staff will continue to receive invitations to review information and participate in discussions. While disclosure won't prevent the filing of appeals, it will level the playing field so there will be no surprises and reductions for the next 4 years. So this year, residential property owners in Wainfleet and all of Niagara will receive their 2016 property assessment notice. Notices are starting to be mailed as of today, August 2nd, 2016. Notices for farm will be mailed October 11th, and and multi-res and business properties will be mailed across the province October 18th. The current value assessments on the notice will serve as the basis for the next 4 years of taxation, 2017 through 2020. So the residential experience. MPAC's key touch point with property taxpayers is the property assessment notice. As part of our commitment to enhance the residential taxpayer experience, we've redesigned the notice to incorporate simple explanation of the property assessment and valuation process and the assessment phase. Enhancements and changes to the notice were based on feedback we received through qualitative and quantitative research with residential taxpayers from across Ontario, as well as consultation with the Ministry of Finance. What's new? The date in the notice was issued is clearly displayed on the top of the notice. We've incorporated plain language and design principles. The 2016 assessed value and change in assessed value from 2012 are highlighted. On the first page of the notice, MPAC's contact information, including the About My Property website, are there. There's a clear explanation of phase-in assessment values, and the request for reconsideration deadline for each taxation year are also highlighted. A simple explanation of the Ontario Property Assessment System information on the valuation process and 5 key factors that affect value are displayed on the top of page 2. Information about market trends and percent change in each municipality can be found in the Market Trends area of ABOUTMYPROPERTY.CA. The notice provides a secure login for property owners to review detailed information about their property and other properties within their neighborhood. The roles and responsibilities of MPAC, the provincial government, and municipalities are also highlighted on page 2. So what did change? In December 2015, the province passed Bill 144, Budget Measures Act 2015, which introduces a new request for reconsideration deadline. The legislative change moves the request for reconsideration deadline to 120 days from the issue date shown on the property assessment notice. So for residential property owners in Wainfleet, the reconsideration deadline is November 30th, 2016. So early notice delivery and reconsideration deadline will enable MPAC to complete request for reconsideration reviews before the assessment rules are delivered to municipalities. This provides greater stability and accuracy of the assessment base. How can I learn more about my assessment? AboutMyProperty.CA is an online tool that connects property owners and MPAC. We simplified the application based on feedback from property owners to incorporate an easy-to-use interface and improve navigation features. Our goal was to improve communication and transparency by enabling owners to learn more how their property is assessed and compare to values with others in the neighborhood. So using About My Properties, owners can learn about market trends in their neighborhood, including residential sales trends in their neighborhoods and other municipalities across Ontario. They can read, save, and print copies of their assessment notice. They can review detailed information about their property, validate property details, and file a request for reconsideration if they disagree with their assessment. They can access basic information for up to 100 properties and detailed information for 24 properties. So resolving assessment concerns. There are 5 steps to follow. Step 1 is to ask yourself, could I have sold my property for the assessed value on January 1st, 2016? If yes, then no further action is required. If not, we're committed to working with you to get it right. Step 2 is to visit AboutMyProperty.CA to review the information MPAC has on file for your property. If you still have questions, step 3 is to contact MPAC by phone, fax, or email. Step 4, if a residential property owner disagree with their assessment, they can file that request for reconsideration using the About My Property by mail or by fax. This is a free review. And step 5 is the final step. If an individual is not satisfied with the outcome of the request for reconsideration review, they have an option to file an appeal with the Assessment Review Board. The board charges a $75 administrative fee to file that appeal. We're here to help. Contact MPAC with any and all questions you may have regarding your property assessment. So Municipal Connect, stakeholder outreach. As part of our advanced disclosure, MPAC has redesigned the Municipal Connect application to offer municipalities a modern, flexible way to access the real-time assessment information, including the preliminary 2016 assessed values. Values for residential properties have been available on Municipal Connect beginning in April and and the preliminary values for other property types will be made available as they become finalized. We have distributed a number of flyers that have been redesigned, or pamphlets, to all municipalities and MPP offices for the public. MPAC has proactively provided our stakeholder toolkit with key information and resource material. Some have added an insert to their tax bills with key information. All of these materials are our way to provide clear understanding around this assessment update. Many have posted or reviewed the videos, which I'm going to show at the end of this presentation, to help explain assessment and taxation. So new for 2016 are the market trend maps that MPAC has made accessible. Where we are publicizing the area market trends is the market trends area and About My Property. We have been proactively promoting this new map feature, and I'll show you on the next slide kind of what it looks like. So this market trend area will be accessible to all users. There's no login that's required. So by entering the municipality or the area in the search field, you can access maps of municipalities across Ontario, so trends in other areas can be compared. This will be available, it is available now, and your login will also be on your notice, so you can get into your specific property information. So the large bubbles on the map here represent a larger concentration of properties, and the smaller bubbles mean fewer homes. So specific to Wainfleet, what I've provided on these final two slides is the assessment change. The first one showing from the change in terms of percentage from 2016 to 2017. So this is the preliminary median percent change in assessed value from 2016 to 2017. And what it's showing is across the Niagara region overall, there was an increase of 3.4%, and in Wainfleet residentially, 4.9%, and for single-family homes, 3.4% and 5.7% respectively. And finally, a typical assessed value. So this is the change in assessed value between base year valuation, so from 2012 value to 2016. The single-family residential value increased 51,000, and the 2016 current value assessment on average is 272,000 for residential. So that ends the presentation portion. What I'd like to do prior to taking questions, if there are any, is just to provide out to you a quick video.
Imagine there's a town that only has 3 homes, and they're each worth a different amount. The total cost to provide all of their town's services is $1,000. This is collected through property taxes. Each homeowner pays property taxes based on how much their home is worth. So, the value of all the homes are added up and divided by the town's cost, which gives us the tax rate. This tax rate is applied to all the houses to get enough money to pay for all of the services. So, each homeowner pays according to how much their house is worth. Every 4 years, the houses are reassessed. Let's say all 3 properties have gone up equally in value. If we go back to our calculation, the total cost of services hasn't changed, but the total property value has increased. When this happens, there will be a decrease in the tax rate. Now, when we apply that new rate on all the homes, everyone still pays the same. Let's recap. Property taxes are based on what a home is worth. If reassessments all increase equally, then everyone pays the same taxes as before. Now, let's say another 4 years has gone by and these homes are reassessed. During this time, the house on the right became more valuable in the market than the other 2. Okay, so time for a little more math. The total value of all the homes have increased, which means the town has to calculate a new tax rate. With this new tax rate, The first two homes will actually pay less than the home on the right that was reassessed at a higher value. Since the cost of services hasn't changed, the town doesn't need to collect more property taxes. However, since property taxes are based on a home's value, those taxes could potentially go up or down based on the rest of the homes. So what happens when the cost to provide services goes up? Well, it means more property taxes need to be collected from every home, and a new tax rate is calculated. To get the new rate, we take that amount that the town now needs and divide it by all the property values. The new rate is applied to all the homes, and now everyone has to pay the new tax amount to continue to fund all of the services. So let's review. 1. Property taxes are based on the value of a home. When homes are reassessed equally, each homeowner will pay the same amount proportionately as before. 2. When homes are reassessed at different values, each homeowner will pay a different amount proportionately based on how much their home increased in value. 3. The town's cost to provide services increases, property tax increase, then everyone pays their share proportionately across the board. And that explains the relationship between property value and property taxes.
Okay, thank you. I see that it said it was produced for the Niagara region. I remember seeing that at Regional Council or one of the committee meetings. Council members, all two of you, do you have our presenter this evening? Alderman Conk?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I'm interested in step number 5 of resolving assessment concerns. So if you get to a point where you feel you have to appeal the assessment, can you give us an idea of how long that process could take?
Certainly. Through you, Madam Mayor, back to the councillor. What we can speak to is our timelines. We can't speak to the Assessment Review Board, their timelines and how long it takes for them to set up a hearing, but we're committed to resolving the appeals within 90 days. Once a decision is made on the RFR, a letter goes out to the owner to advise them the outcome of the request for reconsideration, and then they have that number of days to file an appeal with the ARB, and it's spelled out on the notice that they received, the letter that they received from us, the process, so it's pretty clear.
Okay, any further questions from council members? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much for the presentation. We appreciate it, and we're live streamed now, so hopefully quite a few residents will be watching it as well, so thank you very much. So I just need a motion to receive the presentation. If I can get a move by Alderman Conk, look at that, seconded by Alderman Hessels. All those in favor, that's carried. So now we move on to my announcements, which are very brief. I think pretty much everybody knows by now that we met with Minister Hoskins, the Health Minister, on the 13th of July up in Toronto at Queen's Park, and it was myself, Mayor Campion, Mayor Maloney, and Cindy Forster, and Michael, our CAO, was there as well. So we had a very productive meeting. We had about an hour with him and his staff, and one of the big things was that we got his immediate staff contact so that if there were any questions, because we were telling him some of the services that we seem to be losing at the urgent care, and Cindy was also speaking about Welland Hospital, and I'm not going to say he wasn't entirely aware, but he seemed concerned about that, and then the rumors too, and some of the things we're unclear on. So he had given us the contact information so that we could reach directly to the people just below him, so that we have that kind of break that barrier, and we can speak with them directly. So that was a huge win for us. And then just in discussions, asked a lot about the distance from Wainfleet to the St. Catharines Hospital and to the proposed Niagara Falls Hospital. A lot of discussion. I've told council, seems to really identify with the rural areas. He's originally from Simcoe and still has family there. So all in all, it was a positive meeting, and I think we're going to try and connect informally at AMO in a couple weeks. So we'll keep everybody apprised of what is happening with that, but I think we're feeling pretty good about it. And also to let everybody know, if they didn't already, that the bog fire is officially out. There was a big presentation a couple weeks ago at the July 20th Conservation Authority meeting. So they actually, it was long, but it was quite impressive. They did an entire presentation on the bog, what happened in 2012, what happened this year, how we got where we are, for the benefit of the because we have a fairly new board that weren't there in 2012 when we dealt with this, so that was really good. And then they did presentations and honored the local fire departments and chiefs, and then the fire rangers who had come from the Haliburton area, who are with the MNR. So it was really, really good, and was glad to be a part of that. And they said there is a possibility, if it continues to be dry, that it could happen again, but we're keeping our fingers crossed that won't be the case. And then this past weekend, our Volunteer Firefighter Association and the town hosted the FFAO convention for the second year in a row, and then I guess that's it for a while. I told the firefighters that I'd be good with hosting it every year, and I thought they were going to fall over because I think they're tired from doing it 2 years in a row, but it was a huge success. I had the privilege of giving opening remarks with Tim Hudak and Dean Allison on the Saturday morning, and then I was back on Sunday morning for their parade and their memorial service at the Cenotaph. And every time we do something at the Cenotaph, I sit there and think how grateful I am that we have the Cenotaph. So, and the rain, I guess it rained like out, I don't know, maybe like a mile from us, but we never got any of the rain during the parade or anything, so it was really, really good. So hats off to our fire department for hosting such a great convention, and I think they did a great job, and it was really an honor to have that here in Wainfleet. And coming up, August 14th to the 17th, I mentioned the AMO conference, so Alderman Conk and I will be attending that. We have a meeting, a delegation with the Minister of Energy, and then there are all kinds of things going on. I was reading the agenda this morning, and I can't remember now, I'd have to go back through, but I like this conference because it's a lot more geared to the rural municipalities, or there's a lot more for the rural municipalities. Now I'm trying to remember, there was something that I'll have to look at it again, but pretty excited about this conference, so it should be good. And then of course we'll report back when we return. And then our next council meeting is August 23rd, so that's it. And I will hand it over to Sarah to do the adoption of the minutes.
The minutes of the regular meeting of council held on July 12th, 2016, and the minutes of the special meeting of council held on July 19th, 2016, adopted and circulated.
Need a mover and a seconder. Alderman Hessels, Alderman Conk. Any errors or omissions? Alderman Hessels?
Yeah, on one, I think from that you started at 6:28. I'd like it to be noted that I didn't show up till 7:04.
Sure, we'll have Sarah note that. So if there aren't any other errors or omissions, I will call the question on the minutes. All those in favor, and that's carried. Okay, now we're going on to reports, so I will let Sarah read the first report.
Administrative Staff Report 23 of 2016 regarding Ontario Regulation 284-09 and Public Sector Accounting Board standards, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
Mover and seconder, Alderman Conk, Alderman Hessels. Any discussion on this one? Okay, seeing none then, I will call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. And now we'll go on to the next one.
Administrative Staff Report 24 of 2016 regarding cancellation, reduction, or refund of property tax for the 2016 taxation year, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Alderman Hessel, seconded by Alderman Conk. Any questions or discussions on this one? I think this one's pretty straightforward. Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried.
Administrative Staff Report 25 of 2016 regarding development charges, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
Okay, I need a mover and a seconder for this one. Alderman Conk, Alderman Hessels. So any discussion or questions on this one? Alderman Conk.
Mayor. I have had an online discussion with a few people. One of the questions I was asked and couldn't answer was, can the township put surplus money into the development charges fund?
I see Robin shaking her head. Do you want more of an explanation, or is a head shake sufficient?
I guess it's sufficient.
Okay, I think it's just a pretty straight no.
And I do want to make a comment. I read the report fully. I'm not overly convinced that the population projections are accurate. They seem to be kind of out of line with historically how we've been bumping along. So it doesn't make a hill of beans actually, but I just think we need to note that I don't think those population projections are going to happen. So if that makes a difference on development charges in the future, maybe we should consider that. I don't know. Okay.
Alderman Hessels, you had some comments or questions?
With the, okay, I brought it up, and I see you do have a little bit of a report here. And it's stay away existing lots of records versus new lots of records. I don't know how big of an undertaking that would be. If we could do any new lots of records in the future, that they be charged at a different rate than existing lots that are there now. Because the way I see any existing lot, it's there, whether it's a home or no home on there. The new lots, they're the ones that are gonna have an impact. The old lots that they've been paying for fire services, so I know when it's a new house, it might take a little bit more, but you're getting the money added taxes, I would think, to make that difference. So that's why I'm kind of wondering if we can do anything about that, I guess.
So this report recommends keeping the 50% until 2018, I guess, until the new council. So I'm just paraphrasing, and you correct me if I'm wrong. So you're asking if that way, but any new lots would pay full development charges?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm asking,
Okay.
because I think they would have more the impact, because it's a new lot, it's never been there, it's creating a bit of a burden, I guess.
So I'm gonna look to Gary, because I think you asked a similar question when we had the public meeting, so I wasn't sure. I thought there might have been some hesitation there, but I don't.
I believe you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah. I think Sarah wants to comment quickly first. Sorry, Gary. She's doing dual duty, so I forget that. So I'll hand it to you, Sarah.
So through your worship to Alderman Hessel, so it was discussed during the public meeting, and I think some of the concern from a staff level and also from consultants, having a definition of existing lot and being able to capture, because typically they're very broad, so if we say an existing lot, technically all of the lots at the MEMI subdivision, they're existing lots. So we wouldn't be recouping development charges on those lots, for example. And then I also outlined in the report that a vacant lot, yes, they're paying taxes, but when you construct a house on that, it's adding to the growth of the township. So the intent of development charges is to recoup the costs of the growth. So I don't know if Gary wants to add anything to that, but basically that having a definition of existing lot of record, sometimes it's too broad and we're not able to capture exactly what you're looking for. It can be a little bit tricky to include in a bylaw.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, I think Sarah's categorized it. In the past, I have done a few bylaws where we've come up with a definition, and it's been put into place, and the only experience is there's bumps along the road. So, I mean, you could attempt to do it, we could try to draw a line in the sand. It's just you as a council recognize that it's not going to be, we're going to try our best, but it's only over time that you need to fine tune in order not to, people always find creative ways to get around definitions and such. So We could put something in place if that was it. It's just that it may come with some bumps, though. You may have people coming before you into the future, so.
I'll let you continue, and then I've got Alderman Conk.
Okay. Well, to me, it seems pretty straightforward. Any existing lot that is of record today, whether it's vacant or whether it's the subdivision, they're lots that are today. Going forward from here, any new lot that's created, we're not gonna get that many, I think, but you never know. I think there is a whole section out there where they could actually put in a whole bunch of subdivisions or so. I'm thinking going anything forward that we kind of put it in place, so it's no surprise for them later on. And I don't know, to me it kind of makes sense.
Alderman Conk, you wanted to comment?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm just building on what Alderman Hessels is talking about. I'm wondering if we can, I'm thinking of Lakewood and the Meme subdivision. Those are both going to be subdivisions that are outside of our hamlet area, which our official plan says that's where we need to put intensified development. So if those two subdivisions become a reality at some point, would we be able to specifically say any subdivisions outside of a hamlet area would pay full cost of development charges rather than the 50%? Is that too convoluted?
As I say, we can probably put something together. We had a discussion before. In fact, I've got here some of the information that we're chit-chatting about. We had defined a lot of record, meaning a parcel of land, the boundaries of which are the same as what existed on the date this bylaw was passed. So that's how we were attempting to do the lot of record. We could add some additional words to recognize, any future subdivision, to clarify that definition. And if we did that, then we would just have to, then if you wanted a 50% rate for the existing lots of records and any of the new ones to pay a higher charge, we could probably do that. So as I say, we could probably put something into place. It's just we expect that there may be some bumps along the road. As I say, I'm here to facilitate your requests. So I think we could probably put something in place.
Well, I'm not sure the rest of the council, but I prefer we put something in place, and I don't know if we can work out the detail or the little issues or the bumps you talk of down the road. Because I really think we need to keep the development fees lower for existing lots. Like they've been here, some might have had houses on there 5 or 10 years ago, so yeah, they haven't done nothing with it. And then now they're going to do something to make them pay the same amount as a new lot. Doesn't seem fair. So that's kind of any new lot that is created. I'm not sure about the boundary adjustment. I would say new lot that is created. Sometimes you can do boundary adjustments to make one parcel smaller than another, but no new lot has been created. So those kind of details, I wouldn't want that to affect it. But as far as any new lot, I think what a new lot would be is one that didn't exist before and that is going to exist. So.
Okay, before we get into motions and things like that, I'm just trying to, if we make some changes, does that mean the bylaw has to come back and we will have a lapse of time? Like, do we have to modify the bylaw and then that would be the August, what I just said, whatever it was, August 23rd meeting? So is that going to, any changes we make tonight going to impact?
Through your worship to all of council. So the bylaw that will come later in the meeting is when we'll decide what council wants to do with development charges. This is just to accept the background study and declare that no further public. But when we do consider the bylaw, if, for example, we wanted to include that definition, it'd have to be worded in the motion. And then I would have to, because we're looking to have all 3 readings of this bylaw, so that we can proceed with development charges tomorrow morning. So we'd have to maybe take a short recess, and I can work with Gary to iron out the definition, and then the motion from one of the councillors could be that it be amended to include that definition and that exemption, so that everyone's clear what bylaw is being passed this evening.
Okay, so,
If I may ask Gary there, like, would that be a real issue? Like the way I defined a new lot, would that, like, I'm not sure what bumps in the road you're talking about, but.
Well, we would just need as clear as we can be, we've got to come up with a definition lot of record. What I drew was something that was utilized in a bylaw a number of years ago that I worked with the municipality to put into place. We could expand on it to say, and lot of record would not, this definition would not include, modifications for plans of subdivisions. I'm not sure, we could note some examples in there to be clear, and then we'll have to see how that goes, and we might have to modify it from time to time, because as I say, from time to time people are creative. But I would, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try and facilitate your wishes.
Let me continue. I just see we had a present, or what did we have, a public meeting tonight, and there's a surplus dwelling created. I don't think those would be an issue, because on the APO land, you can't build on anyways. So I'm not sure which one is the new lot there, the APO or that. So those kind of details too, I think we'd have to kind of make sure which one is the new lot.
Your worship, to Alderman Hessel, so in a surplus farm dwelling example, the new lot would be for the residential portion. Yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna be honest, I'm not feeling comfortable with this. This seems like sometimes the crazy stuff we do at the region, these on the fly kind of, not saying this is crazy, because I get your line of thinking, but I think we're, I know that a lot of people in Wainfleet don't want to see Wainfleet become subdivisions, myself included. I know that a lot of people are not thrilled with a couple of the developments that we have happening. However, I see this, and I can't tell you exactly, I wish I had a crystal ball, but I see doing something like this being problematic in the future. When Gary mentions bumps, I don't know exactly what you're referencing, but I see people coming in and maybe not so much surrounding it either is a concern, and I could be wrong. Again, I wish I had a crystal ball, but I personally am not comfortable with kind of making these modifications tonight when we don't have maybe all the information that we need. But if you want to, were you suggesting a recess now to get the wording, and then I've never done that before, so I'm not sure.
Your worship, I would suggest probably a recess closer to when we consider the bylaw, because that's when any modifications would be changed.
Okay, so, that sounds good to me. So any further discussion on this report? So we're just approving the study and the fact that we don't need another. And when we get to the bylaw, then Alderman Hessels, we can take a recess. Alderman Hessels can give his information, and then we can go from there. Okay. All right. Any further comments then? Okay, seeing none, then I will call the question just on basically on receiving this. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so we'll come back to that.
Building Staff Report 4 of 2016 regarding Building Permit Report March to June 2016, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
Mover and seconder, Alderman Hessels, Alderman Conk, all those in favor, that's carried. And then the ash trees.
Public Works Staff Report 18 of 2016 regarding ash tree removal, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as circulated.
So So I need a mover and a seconder for that. Alderman Conk, Alderman Hessels. Any questions or discussion on this one? I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? That's carried.
Public Works of 2016 regarding the award of tender for the arena project and the recommendations contained therein be adopted and circulated.
So I need a mover and a seconder. Alderman Hessels and Alderman Conk. So any questions or discussion on this one? Alderman Hessels.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a lot higher than we anticipated, and I'm not sure where the money's going to come from and how we're going to pay it back and what the term and all that would be. So I'm not sure who can answer that.
I think that would be our lovely treasurer who could answer that for us. I'll let her dig out all her information.
Not very good here. Through your worship to Alderman Hessels. So basically, when we did the budget, we had asked for a project of $871,000, of which we're going to get 1/3 funding from the Canada 150 grant, and we're going to venture $581,000. With the tender coming in so much more, it's closer to $1.3 million minus the $290. So we'll have to debenture about $400,000 more, I think we worked it out to be. So it would be almost $1 million debenture for the arena. We could debenture it probably over 10 to 15 years. Our debentures have to go through the region, so it'd be their rates. I think this year they came in about 3%, the rate was their debenture issue, but we wouldn't know until next year when the debenture goes up at the region level.
So you're saying principal and interest, it would take 15, around that 15 years?
We would look at about 15 just to see what it actually worked out to. I don't have the actual numbers here, so we can look it up.
And I guess the other thing that concerns me about this whole project, is there any other foreseeable things that we see happening? Because this whole project is, we went 5 years ago, we probably could have had a new arena back then and not spend any more money. So I'm just wondering if there's any other surprises coming up.
Through your worship to Alderman Hassels. This arena project is to basically upgrade the existing building to new standards, electrical, plumbing, etc. Heating units, water tanks, lighting for efficiency. The next year's, or the addition to the change rooms was put on hold because of the septic issue that we found this year. So future plans would be for possible addition and then renovation of the senior center to expand it, to accommodate the we're getting in the senior center. And then the only other room that's isn't going to be touched is the maroon kitchen.
Okay. Any other questions from council members regarding the report? Okay, so the recommendation is then to the construction company and the Canada 150 project. Okay, so seeing no other discussion, then I will call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so now moving on to correspondence.
The report of the correspondence to council 2016 and the recommendations contained therein be adopted and circulated.
So I need a mover and a seconder, Alderman Hessels, Alderman Conk. So I'll run through real quick and then see if anybody has anything else. So 277 was from Port Cares about an auction item, which we support that every year. We put in some sort of a door prize. Someone from council and sometimes staff go to that. So I think it's looking for the auction item. So I don't know if somebody wants to amend that to do that. Nobody wants to amend it?
I kind of think I'd like to amend it to say receive for information.
Okay. clear that we usually do like a t-shirt and a mug and something along those lines.
Didn't it say they want something at least 200 or more?
Oh. Oh, okay. Because we haven't done that.
If you just want to give that.
Yeah. We haven't done that in the past, have we? Yeah, it's usually been something. I would suggest maybe amending it to be the usual item, so that we're at least giving something, but. Yeah, so I don't know if you want, because I see your point, so I don't know if you want to amend it to just, I don't know how you'd word that, just the. Is that a maximum $30 or, okay, do you want to set that?
Yeah, or you said last year we gave them a mug and a shirt or something?
Yeah, we usually do like a gift basket. One of the girls will do like one of the shirts we get at Christmas and a mug and a,
So let's say do the same as last year.
okay. Seconded by Alderman Conk. All those in favor? That's carried. You're more than welcome to join me at the event as well. I know it's a ways away. Okay, so that one's done. Then we have 284. And so this one, I'm not sure what you want to do with that. It's about small campgrounds, private campgrounds in Ontario, and that they should get the same benefits as small businesses. So I don't know if you just want to receive that, or Alderman Conk, you'd like to make a motion to receive for information. Alderman Hessels, do you second that? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. And then the next one is from the Recreation Master Plan Committee. So I don't know if you've had a chance to read that, but I was pretty excited about their request because it ties in. We just had a meeting with Dolores Fabiano from the Chamber of Commerce, and then from a local business owner here who's just started like a guest house. So we were kicking around these different ideas. So this ties in a lot with what we were talking, and kind of with the South Coast Tourism Initiative that seems to be plodding along. So they were asking for staff to prepare a report, I think it was. So I'm not sure if we agree with them. How do you want us to amend this?
Through Mayor Jeffs to Council, a simple motion to support request will give us the staff direction to prepare that report.
Okay. So it's just preparing a report based on and then we can decide if we want to proceed with that. So are you moving to support that? Okay. Seconded by Alderman Conk. All those in favor? That's carried. And then we had 287 to fly the Lions Club flag next spring. So if we want to make a motion to support that, moved by Alderman Hessel, seconded by Alderman Conk. All those in favor? That's carried. And then lastly was 293, and it was regarding World Suicide Prevention Day. So she was asking that we support a proclamation, which we don't have yet, but and then she had also included the date at Centennial High School. She does, or somebody does, a one-woman play. I know Robin went last year and thought it was fantastic, so we can talk about that closer to, but I may go to that. So just support? Okay, so if we're good with doing the proclamation, moved by Alderman Conk and seconded by Alderman Hessels. All those in favor? That's carried. Was there any other correspondence anybody wanted to address? Alderman Hessels.
Yeah, 278. I'm not sure if we got that one from North Frontenac too, but I would like us to support it and actually look into getting the same, looks like they're trying to get money from the province or something for the medical calls or whatever, so, for the fire department.
So we did receive the original correspondence. I don't remember if it was from Addington or North Frontenac, but I believe it was received for information when it came to council, but we can certainly support this motion. And if there's any other direction to staff.
Well, I would like support it, and I would like us to look into it for our municipality too.
So that's your motion? Okay. Seconded by Alderman Conk. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, any other correspondence that anybody wants to address? All right, seeing none, we'll vote on the correspondence as amended. All those in favor? That's carried. And now we will move on to the bylaws. Oh, yeah. I apologize. We will be taking a brief recess. So everybody stand by. But if you say we should, then we will. So, Alderman Conk, do you move that we recess? And do you second that, Alderman Hessels? All of those in favor? I declare we are now recessed. We are calling this meeting back to order. So I think we're all clear on how this is going to take place. So I will hand it over to our clerk slash planner slash everything but the kitchen sink to start with the bylaws.
The following bylaw be now read a first and second time the second day of August 2016. Bylaw number 49 of 2016 being a bylaw to authorize the transfer by the Corporation of the Township of Wainfleet in favor of applicants for the abandoned rail corridor as set out in Schedule A attached here too.
Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder for this bylaw. Moved by Alderman Hessel, seconded by Alderman Conk. So I will call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. And now we'll move on to the development charges bylaw.
The following bylaw be now read a first and second time the second day of August 2016. Bylaw number 50 of 2016 being a bylaw to establish development charges for the Township of Wainfleet.
Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder to get this on the floor. So moved by Alderman Conk, seconded by Alderman Hessels. And then now Alderman Hessels, I'll look to you with your amendment to this bylaw. And would you like Alderman Hessels to read it? Okay.
Okay, I would like to make the following motion, that section 1.0 of the bylaw number 50, 2016 be amended to include the following definition. Lot of records means a parcel of land. The boundaries of is what exists on the date of this bylaw was passed, but does not include lots to be created in the future through severances or plan of subdivisions. And that Section 3.5 of the bylaw 50, 2016 be amended to include the following exemptions. D, an application or non-residential building permit, but not a wind turbine for a building or a structure on an existing lot of record will have the development charged present in Schedule B to this bylaw reduced by 50%.
Okay, is there a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Alderman Conk. So, any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing, Alderman Conk.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So just so I am clear, you want to keep the 50% at the lots that are already on record, and any new lot created beyond this date will pay 100% DC charges.
And I'll just add to that, your motion also includes wind turbines will pay 100% moving forward. So I just want to get clarity from staff. So the two developments that seem to be moving forward in Wainfleet are existing lots. So the 100% would not apply to them. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. So, okay, so just my comments, I support 50% all across the board. Like I support the status quo, and I do think development charges to a certain extent are beneficial. I am concerned tonight with doing this so quickly without further information or study. You know, there's pros and cons, but I really honestly haven't had enough time to think about this, and I'm worried that sometimes, I know as the mayor I get complaints from people who will then suggest we pass a bylaw because they don't like the noise from their neighbors' dirt bikes, so they want us to amend the noise bylaw, or we've been asked to do a site alteration bylaw because somebody's mad at their neighbor. So I'm likening this. But then what happens is if we do something like that, I know it's happened where we've said, oh geez, we didn't think about these other people. We did something suited to one specific group, and then everybody else gets caught up in it, things we don't anticipate. Now I could be wrong. That's what this is why I'm wary tonight, and I would definitely need more time to think about it, because that's my concern, that somewhere something will crop up and we'll think, shoot, we should have thought of that night of the meeting. So I guess that's where I'm coming from on this, and I think it could complicate things. So those are my comments. I don't know if anybody else has any further comments. If not, then I will call the question on Alderman Hessel's amendment. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is carried. Okay, so now we will vote on the bylaw as amended. So I will call a question on that. All those in favor? That's carried. And then we will now, I will ask if we can amend the procedural bylaw to do third reading for those two bylaws that we just passed. So Alderman Hessels, you're moving that. Alderman Conk seconded it. All those in favor? That's carried. And then now we will read all of them a third time. Okay.
The following bylaws be now read a third time and finally passed the second day of August 2016. Bylaw number 44 of 2016 being a bylaw to adopt a code of conduct for the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wainfleet. Bylaw number 45 of 2016 being a bylaw to adopt terms of reference for the Drainage Advisory Committee for the Corporation of the Township of Wainfleet. Bylaw number 49 of 2016 being a bylaw to authorize the transfer of the Corporation of the Township of Wainfleet in favor of applicants for the abandoned rail corridor as set out in Schedule A attached here too. And finally, bylaw number 50 of 2016 as amended in the first and second reading, being a bylaw to establish development charges for the Township of Wainfleet.
Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Alderman Conk, seconded by Alderman. All those in favor? That's carried. And now we move on to notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion this evening? Okay, seeing none. We don't have any proclamations. We do, before I go into asking if anybody has other business, we do have a motion. Alderman Conk presented at the last council meeting, so now she has a motion that I'm going to look to her to present to us tonight.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this is a motion for a noise study bylaw. Whereas the Township of Wainfleet is the lower tier of government and the initial line of defense in recognizing quality of life impacts, and where municipal councillors have the responsibility under the Municipal Act 2001 to protect our environment and safeguard the health and well-being of our residents, and whereas human health issues are being disregarded by the MUNICIPal, as is evident from a Freedom of Information request that revealed over 2,700 complaints about wind turbine noise were never investigated, and whereas in 1987 Dr. Neil Kelly of NASA produced research carried out over 5 years which demonstrated that A-weighted sound measurements are incapable of registering the impulsive noise radiation in the form of infrasound, generally subaudible, detected mainly inside homes, and whereas these studies have been validated by more recent investigations in 2011 to 2015, demonstrating that very low frequencies, 1 to 10 hertz emitted by wind turbines have been found to affect nearby residents, and whereas acoustics confirm that as turbines increase in size, the relative amount of low-frequency noise becomes greater, and whereas Professor Hedge of Cornell University points out that the vibrations in the frequency range of 0.5 hertz to 80 hertz resonate and are amplified within body cavities and have significant effects on the human body. Whole body vibration may cause chronic stresses and sometimes even permanent damage to the affected organs or body parts. And whereas the MOECC and the Ministry of Health have been neglectful by failing to enforce the exposed limit for infrasound set by ISO, International Organization for Standardization. These limits are found in ISO 2631, Human Response to Whole Body Vibration, Parts 1, 2, and 4, 90.92, 90.93, and 60.60. And whereas the MOECC has failed to act on the World Health Organization, warning that the evidence on low-frequency noise is sufficiently strong to warrant immediate concern, and whereas globally and locally, we have all read and heard anecdotal accounts of residents leaving their homes, the largest investments of their lives, due to illness from nearby turbines, the symptoms of which line up with the effect of infrasound vibration, this being sleeplessness, nausea, headaches, dizziness, heart palpitations, and low concentration levels. And whereas it is now apparent that even though lower tier municipalities may have no say in IWT placement, it is incumbent upon us to start the task of doing the work the MOECC and the Ministry of Health refuses to do, namely data collections on infrasound and audible sound. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township of Wainfleet put in place a bylaw requiring all new wind developers proposing a project within the township boundaries submit to the township the funds necessary to do a noise study 1 month before the project is to go online and starting no later than 1 month after the project is on the grid, and that the township place an RFP for proposals from companies that are capable of delivering noise studies that will examine infrasound down to 1 hertz and also audible sound. The submitting companies must have no history of having done work for industrial wind turbine companies. The study will also be peer-reviewed to assure that information is accurate and true. And that the township submit a copy of the findings and other pertinent material to the and the Ministry of Health, and that should the findings be out of compliance with the ISO standards, the township shall immediately place a complaint with both the MOECC and the Ministry of Health on behalf of the affected residents.
Okay, can I get a seconder for that? Alderman Hessels. Any discussion? Alderman Hessels.
So I take it, I think I read in there that the cost will be borne by the wind companies for this testing, so there's nothing on the municipality.
I asked this question earlier today with staff, and I don't know if we really answered it, but is this considered impeding, or like where does this fit in with the Green Energy Act?
That is a good question, Madam Mayor.
Because I'm just wondering, like I'm supportive because I mean we've had the delegations come in and they've asked us to pay for this, and then there was talk about going to public health and you know who should be paying for this, and it's too too late for those projects. And that group did end up going out and either hiring a consultant or buying the equipment. So I'm just wondering, before we support this, if it would be wise to have staff look into that perhaps, and then I don't know if there's an urgency with this, like then have it come back to the next council. Again, I want all my information before, but that would, to me, would be the only thing that would maybe have cause to, you know, not support this. Other than that, though, I think you've captured a lot of the concerns and that we've been experiencing from residents. So it was just that I wondered when I read it the other day, and I maybe could have done a little homework myself, kind of vet that, and then have it come back on the 23rd, if that's okay with you.
I do know that Grey Highlands is introducing a similar motion to their council soon, and it has the same parameters in it, that it be funded by the wind developer, whoever that may be. If they choose not to do the funding, that's a restriction on themselves. It's not so much a restriction, it's just an added, it's kind of along the lines of us signing the road use agreement. It's just an added step that they have to take to assure the municipality that they're compliant. In my mind, it's not restrictive, and it's not, but that's okay if you want to bring it back.
Okay. So do we need a motion to do that?
Through your worship to all of council, I would suggest amending a motion that this motion be deferred to a subsequent meeting pending investigation by staff regarding the contents of the bylaw and whether or not that's impeding on the Green Energy Act.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to ensure that it's not that the bylaw will be ready and in place for discussion at the next meeting, because that would not happen. If it's just investigating the compliance under existing legislation, that we can do for the next meeting.
Alderman Hessels, can I look to you to make that referral motion back to staff to investigate and then bring it back? Okay. Okay. So I'll second that. Okay. So then I will call the question on referring it back to staff. All those in favor? That's carried. And then I need to vote on it as amended. So we'll vote on it as amended. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you for indulging me on that one. Okay, so any other business aside from that? I'll look to Alderman Hessels first. Do you have other business? Okay. Alderman Conk.
I have a couple of items, as usual. concerned about a letter that was received by the ratepayers in response to one that was sent off to the Public Health Department, and it has to do with boil water advisory. Madam Mayor, you've been indicating that Dr. Yeager is thinking that she's happy with what we've been doing with regards to the water testing last year and with the septic inspections, and that there is a difference in our water quality. However, this letter from the Public Health Department from Bill Hunter in response to the question from the ratepayers, when is the boil water advisory going to be lifted? According to him, it's not going to be lifted until the township do the same testing that they did back in 2001 and 2006. So we're not capable of doing what they did. So where does that leave us?
I did see briefly that email forwarded to me, but that's the first I've heard of that. What she had said to me was that that she would look at maybe doing, like, that she really commended us, and she really does, like the progress that we've made, and that we gave her the report that Trevor had written about the improvements that we've made. And so she had suggested, I told you in the fall, she has a think tank, I forget what university, I think it was Western, with her colleagues, and looking at kind of reframing what the boil water advisory looked like, because she acknowledged that, you know, we rent a lot of cottages and we put these notices in the paper, but the people coming in maybe aren't seeing them unless people have something over their taps that say, you know, boil water advisory. Maybe some cottages have UV lights, maybe some don't. So she was looking at framing it more in an educational piece. She and I had a bit of a discussion about it. But this whole, I'll have to ask her about it, because that wasn't mentioned at all. Another round of testing to that degree, she and I hadn't discussed. We really left it till she'd come back and talk to me after she'd spoken with her colleagues in the fall. So that's soon. So yeah, I can look into that, because like I say, that's the first I've heard of that. So.
Well, like I said, after speaking with you a couple of times and after your conversations with Dr. Yeager, and then we get this letter in response, which says, you know, it's the opinion of the department that it was necessary for previous studies detailed in the opening paragraphs of the letter to be replicated with a similar methodology, but with significantly different conclusions. Well, we don't have the wherewithal to do that. So I don't know how we would ever accomplish replicating those tests. So if there's something she's got up her sleeve to get rid of the boil water advisory, that'd be great. And the other thing I had is kind of sort of related, the reinspection program. Are we going to, I mean, I know we kind of said let's defer it until later, making a decision on reinspection. We're 3 years post, 3 years, yes. Summer beyond, right? So we should be thinking about reinspection soon. Do we need a report?
I would imagine. I know Trevor had that report before he left, which I think touched on that a little bit, but Mike, I see you nodding. I don't know if you want to comment. You're versed in this.
Mayor, it would be good from a procedural perspective to get a motion from council to have staff report back with a report and a status update related to the reinspection program.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, so your motion is a status update on the reinspection program. Would you second that? Okay. Seeing, or is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Any other business aside from that? And Alderman Hessels, you said you're too busy. Okay, so I think we're good. We don't have closed meetings, so we will go into the bylaw to confirm the proceeding at council.
Bylaw 51 of 2016 being a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the actions of the council at its regular meeting held on the 2nd day of August 2016, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed the second day of August 2016.
So I need a mover and a seconder. Alderman Hessels, Alderman Conk, all those in favor, that's carried. And then we need a motion to adjourn, moved by Alderman Hessels, seconded by Alderman Conk, all those in favor, that's carried. And we are adjourned.